Today we're looking at AI in Edge Functions. Now, we've shipped this during our last launch week. This is very exciting. So you can now run AI inference with the GTE small model directly within your Edge Functions. Do watch the video. I'll link it somewhere here. And also read the blog post for some more details. But today we want to look at the large language models in Supabase Edge Functions, which is something we're working on right now. So there was a question, how can we kind of combine this with, say, Vercel's AI SDK? So we can use this. So what we're going to do today is we're going to use the Vercel AI Chatbot clone. We have a fork here on the Supabase community that Supabase all this with Supabase auth and everything, but still using the Vercel AI SDK for streaming the chat UI. And so we're going to build a Supabase Edge function that uses Ollama with the latest Llama 3 model as kind of the streaming backend rather than using, say, OpenAI API. Now, the way we can do this, there is actually a full guide here. It's linked below as well, so you can check that out, how that works. Now, first of all, we will need to install Ollama to make this work locally. So Ollama is a really, really cool project, allowing us to run large language models locally very easily. So what we can do is we can follow the installation instructions here. I've already done that. And then we can follow the quick start. So we could say Ollama run Llama 3. But in our case, actually, what we want to do, so we can do pull Mistral or pull Llama 3. So in our case, we want to do Llama 3. So we'll just open, in our project or, anywhere you can open up your terminal, and we can just say Ollama pull Llama, gotta spell it correctly, Llama 3. Now, depending on kind of what model you're pulling, that might take a bit of time because I think even so. Obviously, I've pulled this before, but even the smallest version of the model. So if we do, we can do Ollama, I think list. So we can see kind of what models we have. And so this is like the 8 billion. I think there's like different versions. If you look at, you can see like this is the 8 billion parameters, and then there's also 70 billion. This one version, obviously, that is quite big. So if you wanted to pull that, that might take a while. So we'll just use the Llama 3 here. And then what we can do is we can. So there's a couple more things. So first of all, we'll need to do Ollama serve to serve our model. Now, in some cases, it is already listening here. There is no Ollama stop, I found. So what you can do is you can just kind of quit Ollama here. And then I think next time you run Ollama serve, then it'll start up and you can actually see, what's kind of happening in there. And then what we can do is we can take this. So we'll need to expose an AI inference API host to the Supabase functions environment variable file. So, first of all, if you don't have any Supabase project initialized, we're working kind of here within our Next.js project. So what you'll use, you say Supabase init, and then it would ask you if you wanted to create, I've already done this, if you wanted to create the VS Code settings for Dino. So if you are using VS Code, that is a good idea. We also have the settings for, I think, IntelliSense. So just follow the prompts there. And then what you get is your Supabase directory. And then we'll start off with Supabase functions new, and we'll say Ollama test. And it'll scaffold a new function for you here called Ollama test. And then what you can do is you can just copy in, so you can see that here, Ollama test. You can just copy in here, so we'll need to import some global types from the Edge runtime, and then you can just copy that in. So that's what I've done here. Maybe we can jump in and kind of look through. So in the guide we're using Mistral, but so basically it just maps to the naming. So if you do like your Ollama list, basically it just maps to the names here. So you could use Llama 2, Llama 3, Mistral. So we'll just use Llama 3 here. And then in this case, we're just checking the search params for a prompt. And then, so here what we get back from our session run, we'll get back an async generator, which we can then chunk through to get the response. So that is what we're doing, and then we'll need to create a new text event stream. So that is kind of the type of sort of response that we'll need to stream to. That's kind of the server sent events. There's a bunch of tutorials on server sent events as well, but you know, the Vercel SDK basically abstracts kind of the server sent events under the hood, so you don't really need to worry about that. But we basically just need to create this text event stream, and we need to keep the connection alive. And then we'll just create a new readable stream here, and then this is how it works. We'll start, define kind of a start method, pass in a controller, a new text encoder, and then we'll basically just chunk through our output, and then we enqueue kind of a new text chunk basically to our stream. And then what we can do is the stream basically will just return a new response with the stream and importantly the headers that we had created. And so now what we can do is we can make a request to our function. So first of all, we need to serve our function with our environment variable file set up. So, well, actually, first of all, we need to run Supabase start. We haven't done that already. Okay, great. So now our Supabase is up and running, and then we'll just need to serve our functions and pass in our environment variable file. And so now our functions are running here on localhost. And so what we can do now is we can open another terminal, and then we can put in our prompt. So we can make a curl request to our Ollama test. And we can set a prompt here that says write a short rap song about Supabase, the Postgres developer platform, as sung by Nicki Minaj. And so as we're firing this up, you can now see we're working in the background. So our Ollama server is getting a bunch of stuff. And then so you can now see the server sent events are streaming in. It's Barbie and I'm feeling like a star, talking about Supabase, the platform that goes far from, I'm not really a rapper. From PostgreSQL to cloud, they got you covered. Developers, listen up. Supabase. Too fast here. Developers, listen up. This is what they're delivering. Supabase taking Postgres to the next level. There we are. With a platform that's scalable, it's time to get clever. Deploy and manage your data is in safe hands. Supabase taking over the land. All right. Well, now we just need Nicki Minaj to wrap this. But yeah, so this is pretty much the gist of it, how we can run our model locally. Fantastic. And so now what we just need to do is to create a function that can work with the useChat. This thing has a useChat method. And so we can see this useChat is coming from the Vercel AI React. So it's kind of a helper there. We can have a look. You can look at the documentation as well. So that's, what you can use. And then you can, so by default, the API/chat is kind of what the default is. So if you were, looking at this example earlier, then we have our app API, and there's a chat here. And so we can look at the route. So basically, we're kind of importing the streaming text response. We're importing kind of the OpenAI Edge. Now, this is a little bit older. This fork, if we look at this one here, yeah. So like, it's a couple months old. So it still uses the old auth helpers, which, they still work. It's fine. So in this example, we'll just work with that. So, but basically we're just doing here, kind of getting our OpenAI key, getting OpenAI. Then basically what we're doing is we're just verifying that we have an authenticated user, to make sure that, only authenticated users can actually call this, because, we're calling OpenAI, so it's expensive. And then we're creating this chat completion. So if you know kind of OpenAI create chat completion, it is a way to basically just put in a bunch of messages that are, so maybe we can look at this. Yeah, so the way basically this chat completions API works is it just takes a bunch of messages where there's different roles, user, assistant, yeah, and then basically just kind of using into context kind of all this history of messages. It then kind of gives answers to sort of the interactions in those messages. And what we then can do is basically, in this case, it just creates an OpenAI stream, inputs the messages from the database, actually gets the messages from the client, and then basically at the end, once everything is streamed through, we'll then just upsert those chats to the database so that we have access to that. Okay, cool. And so what we can do now, actually Supabase status. Maybe we have a look at our database for a second. So what the cool thing is here, we have a locally running Studio as well that we can look at. And so you can see the chats here. There's a bunch of sessions already. And you can see it's like, here we have like, sort of a path, the title has a bunch of metadata, and then we have the messages where the role is a user, assistant, kind of all that sort of context. Yeah, maybe we'll just delete these so that we can see kind of our new messages coming in. Yeah, so basically we just need to replicate kind of this piece. And so we can go here. I've done that. So I've created a functions, Vercel AI. So one thing we need to look out for is course, because obviously if you're not using a custom domain for your Supabase project to be on the same domain as your Next.js website, then it'll be a cross-origin request, and so you will need to handle the course headers. And then what we can do is just we can get the authorization header, create an authorized Supabase client, which then allows us to get the user object from Supabase. Same here, we'll just verify that we have a user, and then we'll extract the user ID. And so what we can now do is we can get the request.json. So we'll get the messages. In this case, I'm not using the preview token. I think that might be an OpenAI specific thing. I haven't looked into that. But then in this case, we just have the pure access to the large language model. So we'll design a prompt that basically just says your friendly support assistant, given the following message history between a user and you. So that's kind of the different roles. You, the assistant, answer the user's most recent questions, taking into consideration maybe that is consideration all the context provided in the messages. Okay, cool. And then we have the messages that we got here passed in from the client side. And then again, we're running our prompt. We're getting our async generator. We're creating our readable stream. So this is exactly the same what we already looked for. And then lastly, we'll have the finally block where we're doing the on completion case. So this is where, everything is finished. Here we're writing kind of the completion. So as we're streaming it out, we're also writing it to one string. And then we're having the completion string here. And we'll just get... the title is always the first message content substring, and then we're basically just pushing the old messages, and we're adding a new the new answer from the assistant into our messages, and then we're just upserting where our ID, chat ID, and the payload. And again, here then we just need to make sure that we have the course headers, our content type, text, event stream, keep alive. And so that's pretty much it to be able to then use it with the useChat here. So basically then what we can do is we can point useChat at our Supabase Edge function. Now if we deploy that, obviously we'll need to change that. Authorization, we put the super access token. Now the super access token, we can look at the chat props. So if we're looking at where we're using the chat, here, for example, we're basically just putting the super access token, which is the session access token. So that is the user specific access token that we're putting in there, that we're getting from the user session. And so basically anytime we're using our chat, same here, in the main front page, we're just making sure we're getting the super access token from the session access token. And then we're ready to roll. We're basically just putting our super access token into the headers. Everything else is the same. So we're really just updating these two pieces, pointing the API, adding the super access token header. And then now what we can do is we can say npm run dev. And we're having this now up and running on localhost. So we're serving our project on localhost. And then maybe we can say explain technical concept. So this is what is a serverless function. And so now we can see here our Ollama server is working. We can see here our messages that we got. And so basically now once Ollama is ready, we actually should update this to the Llama icon. That's a good point. I need to remember that. And it says, I'm happy to help. A serverless function refers to type of cloud-based computing where you can write and run, small bits of code. Cool. And so, what we can do again is if we go back to the home page, maybe we can do another, what is Postgres? another conversation, and we can now see that, we're storing our conversations here in the database. So basically, if we go back to our default project, so this is our what is a serverless function chat. You can see here, our role user content, role assistant content here, and yeah, it's writing quite a bit. So basically, once this is finished generating, we can look, and then we have our other conversation here. What is Postgres? Now we can go back to our what is a serverless function, and we can continue the conversation. We can say our Supabase Edge Functions, also serverless. Maybe I just want to make sure that we're Supabase Edge Function, also these question mark. I want to make sure that it kind of takes into consideration the previous messages, but we can see this here. We have the previous messages in there, and so now we're merging. And hi again, I'm glad we discussed serverless functions earlier, so you can see that it has the context. To answer your latest question, yes, Supabase Edge Function on deep type of serverless function. Yep, there we are. Key benefits. Cost effective. Yeah, and this is actually a good point here, good selling point on why you'd want to use AI within Edge Functions. It works out if you read the blog post. Cost, for certain cases here, the text embedding small compared to the GTE small, the cost is, is a bit cheaper. Now, cool. So that is pretty much how you can run, basically how you can substitute the Vercel AI SDK here, the useChat from the Vercel AI SDK with a Supabase Edge function streaming responses to your front end. Now, the thing is, this is, still a work in progress. So we're working on getting access to more GPU clusters, working with the Ollama team there as well. Now, if you're interested in getting early access, there is a form here. You can get in touch for early access. If you're interested in certain models on Supabase Edge Functions, then you can also put that into the early access form, and then we'll be in touch once we're ready to get you onboarded on the hosted platform with large language models. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. As always, let us know below what else you want to learn, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.